There are truths that refuse to die. They survive deletion, censorship, denial, whispers in the corridors of forbidden knowledge, echoes of something the world wasn't ready to hear. But truth, like water, finds the smallest cracks to pour through, and when it does, it seeks the souls willing to listen, the ones who won't look away. This is one of those truths, hidden for years, concealed from the public, spoken in hushed tones. Yet, it lived on, because some truths are stronger than silence. Among the great taboos of human inquiry, those veiled subjects from which even the most brilliant minds recoil, there is one that looms largest: death. What lies beyond the final heartbeat? What awaits us when the veil lifts? Is there an edge to existence, or only a doorway? Most turn away from such questions, but some do not. Dr. Raymond Moody is one of them, a seeker, a physician, a philosopher, and above all, a pioneer in the exploration of the space between life and what lies beyond it. His book, Life After Life, became a revolution, a cultural phenomenon, a portal that cracked open the tightly sealed doors of the afterlife and let in a sliver of light. He spent decades collecting the stories of those who had crossed over and returned, and slowly, a pattern began to emerge. These were not scattered myths or hallucinations. They were near-identical experiences, repeating, regardless of religion, nationality, or belief. A tunnel, a radiant light, beings of warmth and unconditional love, a review of one's life, seen through the eyes of compassion and understanding. But there was one moment, a single interview spoken in a small private gathering in the early 2000s, that has never seen the light of day until now. The recording was hidden, suppressed, denied. Some said it never happened. Others swore by its existence. Those who were present never forgot. They remembered every word, because what was said could not be forgotten. Officially, it was forbidden. Why? Some said, science isn't ready. Others warned, this could unravel everything: belief, control, the very structure of reality. But now, we have the words, and we are not afraid. This is what they tried to keep hidden. This is the truth. The voice of the journalist trembled as he began. Dr. Moody, tell us, truthfully, what awaits a human being after death? Dr. Moody paused. His eyes were neither fearful nor defiant. They held the weight of someone who had seen far more than words could hold. Someone who knew that truth is a sacred thing and that not all ears are prepared to hear it. What I am about to say, he began slowly, goes against the grain of official science. But it is not fantasy. It is not delusion. This is what I have heard, not from one, but from thousands of people who have returned from death. They have crossed the threshold and come back. The journalist leaned forward. Testimonies? Moody nodded. Yes, but more than that. Patterns, structures, scenarios that repeat with uncanny precision. People from every background, from devout believers to lifelong atheists, all tell the same story. A tunnel, a light, a presence filled with infinite love, a panoramic review of their entire life, seen through the eyes of understanding rather than judgment. But there is something else. He lowered his voice. Something few speak of, even among those who accept life after death. The room seemed to grow quieter. Even the hum of the air faded. The journalist asked in a whisper, "What is being hidden?" Moody looked down, then up again. A choice. After the life review, the soul must decide. The journalist furrowed his brow. Decide what? Whether to stay? In part, Moody answered. But more than that, how to continue its journey. Many do not want to return to Earth. They have seen what awaits on the other side, a realm that feels like home, a peace beyond description, a love so vast it erases every scar. Earth is a school, difficult, yes, but sacred, and souls often must choose whether to come back or remain in that higher realm. At this point, the room was still. Even the camera operator leaned in, No one moved, because something was happening. A veil was lifting, not metaphorically but palpably, tangibly. This was no longer an interview, it was revelation. And here, Moody continued, is what few dare speak aloud. Some souls choose not to return for themselves, but for others. They become guides, protectors, what some might call guardian angels. The journalist sat frozen. He hadn't expected this. And there are others, Moody added somberly, who do not see the light at all. Silence. They find themselves in darkness. The journalist could barely speak. You mean hell? Moody shook his head gently. Not as religion describes it, not a place of fire or torment, but a state of being, a soul imprisoned by its own fear, hatred, its attachment to the material. It cannot tour, will not receive the light that is offered. So it remains in its own shadow. And do they return? The journalist asked. Some, Moody said softly, but they speak little. They are often dismissed, mocked, feared, and fear is the greatest enemy of truth. Then came the question most never dared to ask. If all this is true, why do most who nearly die remember nothing? No tunnel, no light, no warmth. A hush fell over the room. The air thickened. The walls felt closer. Moody's eyes darkened not with fear, but gravity. Because, he said, they are made to forget. A memory block, he explained, not imposed by some external power, but woven into the very fabric of reality. A protection, a law of the soul. To remember too much would make life unbearable. Why? The journalist asked. Imagine knowing, truly knowing, that this world is but a moment, that suffering is temporary, that death is not the end. If you remembered perfect love, absolute peace, eternity, how could you endure war, pain, labor, fear? Humanity would stop learning, stop striving. The soul's growth would halt. These trials are necessary. They forge us. Several in the room lowered their eyes. Some nodded. Some silently wept. I began to wonder, one of them later said, if my entire life had only been a brief chapter in a much vaster story. But some, Moody continued, do remember, they are rare. Born with fragments of that memory, not by accident. They come with purpose to help others remember too. He paused. But there is one more truth I must tell. Every I turned to him, I have heard, again and again, from people who had no knowledge of each other, something, they all said. What is it? The journalist whispered. Moody's voice was steady, clear. Souls do not arrive here by chance. They chose to be here now, in this time. Many came into this world to witness and participate in a transformation, a turning point in human evolution. Even if they don't remember, their mission remains. He turned to the journalist. Your soul, too, chose this moment. The journalist looked away. His voice was gone. The silence that followed was not empty, it was full. And then, Moody said something even deeper. You asked about those trapped in darkness. Is there hope for them? The journalist asked. Yes, Moody said firmly. There is always hope. No soul is ever truly lost. The door is always open. How? The journalist asked, his voice barely audible. Through remembrance, Moody said. Even in the darkest place, a soul can awaken. It can remember its true nature, but not alone. There are those who return to the shadows not to punish, but to illuminate. They descend into darkness as guides, beacons, souls of light, who help others find their way back. They are among us. Some call them angels. The journalist closed his eyes. Even those who have done great wrong, he asked. If they choose light, Moody replied. The key is always choice. No soul is forced. The path to salvation is always open, but it must be walked willingly. At that moment, a phone rang. No one moved. Reality had paused. Moody continued. There's something else people often misunderstand. That ache they carry, the longing, the fear of death. It's not weakness. It is the soul's voice, a call to remember. Suffering, he said, is not a curse. It is a signal, a sacred whisper. Pain is the language the universe uses when the soul forgets its origin. But most see pain as the enemy, not the guide. The interview was ending, but the journalist had one final question. What would you say to those who fear death? Moody smiled not as a man smiles, but as a soul that remembers. Death does not exist, he said. There is only transformation. What you call the end is only the beginning of something grander than the mind can grasp. And when the moment comes, you will understand. You were only going home. Years passed. The recording was never aired. It became legend, denied by some, whispered by others. But the memory lingered. One day a cameraman who had been in the room spoke out. He asked to remain unnamed. There was something else, he said. After the camera was turned off. What did he say? The journalist asked. The cameraman's eyes welled with tears. He looked at us and said, "The day will come when the truth will be clear. Many will fear it. But those who know the soul is eternal will have nothing to fear." And then he paused and said, "When the world grows darker, seek each other out. Light recognizes light. And even in chaos, those who remember will help lead others through the night into a new dawn." These words traveled across time. Some say they were myth, others prophecy. But those who have truly listened to the stories of the soul, who have heard the voices of those who've crossed the veil and returned, know. This was no legend. It was a warning, a message, a gift, and a reminder that the truth is not lost. It is simply waiting for those who are ready to remember.